This documentary explores how Japanese culture traditions such as language, family time/meals, and marriage has changed or been lost through three generations of social assimilation into the United States. What were your expectations before coming to America?
Far different than what I saw in the movies. It's only a few big cities. It's a whole bunch of little cities, little
Yes,
towns,
that's true.
and a lot larger than what I ever expected.
What was the process to getting your citizenship?
Okay, I didn't take for a long time, just because I didn't want to give up. I didn't know I wanted to be American citizen, but when we came to Idaho, and I started to realize that I wanted to vote. Because if as long as I'm not a citizen, I can't do that. I started to concern about condition of regulation, rule, or whatever. So that's made me wanted to become a citizen. So then I went to BSU, the learning center, and they had the citizenship class, so I took that.
Being a Japanese American, have you ever experienced any stereotype, either positive or negative?
I guess I've faced a few stereotypes growing up, mostly in the school system, never really with friends, I would say. I, I guess I never realized that I was different until I got into junior high school, and that's when a lot more of like the more negative stereotypes have come in. I've generally gotten really good grades in school, and that's been resorted to the fact that I'm Japanese American. They're like, oh, it's just because you're Asian that you get good grades, and it's actually because I work really hard and I listen and I do my work. And then I've also had like such sexual stereotypes because Asian kind of porn stars. So a lot of the time in school, junior high and high school was the worst. Was I got so many sexual stereotypes, and that's one that a lot of people don't usually think about.
Once people find out, since obviously I don't really look Japanese, but once they find out that I have that kind of heritage, they do make jokes, and most of the time they're about Chinese people. I'm like, that's wrong. I'm Japanese, hello?
The worst was probably Summerton, Alabama, and Glens Ferry, Idaho was the absolute worst. And it was by teachers, not by children, both times.
Did you face any discrimination? If so, what kind?
No, actually being a Japanese was plus.
In what way?
Most of the time. They automatically they think we are intelligent people because they have a lot more education.
There were times that, we're outsiders no matter what, because anytime anybody saw my mom, they knew right off the bat, oh, you're not an American.
In a traditional Japanese family, the man is always the head of the household and works long hours to support the family, while the wife stays at home and manages the house and the children. Through assimilation and globalization, the Japanese population is now experiencing an upside-down population pyramid. They have a huge aging class, and a very small percent of the young population is getting married and having kids. Most of them are choosing careers over family. A subtype of the traditional family structure is the multi-generational family. When visiting a family, removing shoes is another prevalent practice in Japan, and many houses even offer you a set of slippers to wear after you take off your shoes. When attending someone's house, it is normal to receive a gift from the host and for you to bring a gift. However, it is considered bad manners to open the gift immediately. What traditions did your mother pass down to you?
My mother did a really good job of keeping the food as part of the family. I feel like I wish that I would have known a little bit more about my culture, but being only a quarter Japanese kind of takes that away automatically.
My mom was ashamed because it was Vietnam. She had a lot of discrimination, but food was a big part.
Meals begin with the phrase "itadakimasu," meaning I humbly receive, and end with the polite phrase, Gochi so sama deshita, you were a feast. If you sit at a low table without chairs, men should sit cross-legged, and women should not. That style is regarded as very unfeminine, and it is better that you sit with your legs tucked neatly behind you. Why did your mother not teach you Japanese?
She didn't want to speak because she felt that she was a foreigner and she needed to learn English, and that's what I needed to know.
What was the most important thing for you to pass on to your children?
Respect other people,
Respect others.
no matter what.
Do you wish you knew more about your culture?
I guess that I wish that I could have had the chance to learn more from my family. I really liked the idea of being a Japanese American, so I went and sought out the culture myself. I took Japanese all 3 years of high school, and I took 1 year of it in college, and I was in the Japanese club at my other college when they didn't offer the class, and I helped teach beginner Japanese.
There are 3 alphabets used in the Japanese language: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Hiragana is the native Japanese alphabet. It is used for the traditional Japanese words and grammatical particles. Hiragana is also used to write words whose kanji form is obscure, not known to the writer or readers, or too formal for the writing purpose. Katakana is a Japanese syllabary, the Americanized version of hiragana. It is used to spell and pronounce American names and words such as McDonald's and Jessica. The word katakana means fragmentary kana, as the katakana characters are derived from the components of more complex kanji. Kanji is the adopted logographic Chinese characters that are used in the modern Japanese writing system along with hiragana, katakana, Hindu-Arabic numerals, and the occasional use of the Latin alphabet. The Japanese term kanji for the Chinese characters literally means Han characters, and is written using the same characters as the Chinese Hanzi. All 3 alphabets can be used in the same sentence and even the same word, which is the part of what makes the Japanese language so complex. Traditionally, the religious wedding ceremony is held in Shinto style at a shrine. In the ceremony, the couple is purified, drinks sake, and the groom reads the words of the commitment. At the end of the ceremony, symbolic offerings are given to the kami, who is a divine being in the Shinto religion. The couple is dressed in traditional kimono. The shiro-maku is the white kimono worn during the wedding ceremony, and an elaborate patterned silk brocade kimono called uchikaki is worn during the wedding reception. Before assimilation into America, a Japanese bride never received an engagement ring, but by the early 1980s, 2/3 of all engaged women received a ring. 2/3 of the Japanese couples have Christian-style weddings, not because they practice the religion, but because they like the style of wedding better. A survey done from 2008 to 2010 shows that 9% of Japanese American newlyweds married non-Japanese Asians, 55% married non-Asians, and 36% married Japanese. Tell us about your wedding.
We had the American, ceremony in the church, and then the reception. I wore a Japanese kimono and had my hair done and all that, so that both sides of our family were represented and not to please them, but just that they were represented.
How does your grandma feel about getting Chinese and Japanese mixed up?
Grandma gets pretty mad. I've seen her get infuriated over Chinese references towards us Japanese. She gets really wound up about that.
Because everyone has a pride in their culture. They're a little bit different, So as me looking at people, I can tell difference between Chinese and sometimes it's hard to kind of tell between Koreans and Japanese, but I can tell, and they have their traditions. They're all different, We
Yeah.
don't even speak same language, you know. But the stereotype people think they're all same.
What would you say is the biggest difference between Americans and Japanese?
Us Americans, we're a melting pot, duh. But we have so many different cultures. Well, where my mom came from, there's one culture, one way. This is one country, one rule, one way.
As a result of the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order Number 9066, stating that any person with 1/16 Japanese blood or more to be removed from their homes and placed into internment camps. Internment camps are defined as prison camps for the confinement of enemy aliens, prisoners of war, and political prisoners. The signing of the executive order resulted in more than 120,000 Japanese Americans being removed from their homes and scattered between 10 different internment camps located throughout the U.S. The largest internment camp was Camp Minidoka, located in Idaho, 17 miles northeast of Twin Falls. Minidoka hit its peak population of 9,397 on March 1, 1943. At these camps, entire families were housed in barracks with one-room cells. Surrounding all the camps were U.S. military personnel and barbed wire perimeter, allowing no escape. Several people died in the camps due to stress and lack of nutrition and medical care. The phrase "shikata ga nai," loosely translated as "it cannot be helped," was commonly used to summarize the interned families' resignation to their helplessness throughout these conditions. During the war, only 10 people were convicted of spying for Japan, all of which were Caucasian. Throughout the war, media often portrayed the Japanese as sneaky spies and bloodthirsty killers. Tell us about your friend in the internment camp.
She was in a camp, okay, Minidoka.
Mhm.
They lost everything. They came over here.
Mhm.
Her brother went into the army, fought World War II. Okay, and but they didn't really have the hatred towards Americans, but instead they're all Japanese people, and they said that we have to be educated so it won't never happen again, so they can be more prepared.
When surveying students ages 18 to 22 on the campus of Boise State University, the top 3 stereotypes described were that Japanese are bad drivers, smart, and have a smaller build. When asked, "Do you know what the Japanese American internment camps were?" 61% responded yes, 28% responded no, and 11% responded kind of. When asked, "Did you know that the largest Japanese internment camp was in Idaho?" Interestingly, the responses were split evenly, with 50% yes and 50% no. Have you ever felt ashamed of being a Japanese American?
Not really. I'm pretty much more proud of it, I guess, because it's a really cool thing.